In recent statements, U.S. Senator Marco Rubio has ignited discussions on foreign policy and the role of American aid in international relations. His remarks reflect a broader shift in perspective regarding the U.S.'s approach to global engagements, particularly in the context of national interests and resource allocation. During a speech delivered on January 30, 2025 at the U.S. Embassy in Costa Rica, Rubio emphasized the importance of America's strategic interests in foreign aid. The U.S. government is not a charity, he asserted, defending the recent freeze on aid to certain nations. This statement resonated strongly amid increasing scrutiny of how U.S. taxpayer dollars are utilized abroad. Rubio's comments suggest a pivot toward a more transactional view of international relations, where aid is contingent upon recipient states aligning with U.S. interests. The implications of Rubio's remarks are profound. He suggests that fostering a more self-interested foreign policy could lead to increased control over geopolitical dynamics. This notion was further echoed in a separate engagement where he commented on the controversial idea of the U.S. purchasing Greenland, saying, "Might as well have more control." This sentiment encapsulates a growing desire among some U.S. officials to assert dominance in strategic regions, particularly as global competition intensifies, especially with nations like China and Russia. Rubio's rhetoric aligns with an America's First approach, which prioritizes national interests and sovereignty over traditional diplomatic practices. This perspective challenges long-standing paradigms in global diplomacy, traditionally characterized by a more altruistic approach to foreign aid and international cooperation. His call for a re-evaluation of U.S. foreign aid could resonate in Congress, where debates around budget allocations and international commitments are increasingly contentious. Critics argue that such a shift could undermine long-term relationships with allies and destabilize regions that rely on American support. The potential fallout from curtailing aid could lead to increased instability in vulnerable nations, which may in turn necessitate greater military intervention down the line, a cycle that many fear could escalate rather than mitigate global tensions. As these discussions unfold, the future of U.S. foreign policy remains uncertain. Rubio's remarks signal a potential reorientation that could reshape America's role on the world stage. The upcoming congressional sessions are likely to bring these issues to the forefront, as lawmakers grapple with balancing national interests against the ethical implications of foreign aid and international cooperation. Overall, as America navigates its position in a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape, the debate over foreign aid sovereignty and control will only intensify, prompting stakeholders to carefully consider the long-term consequences of their policy choices. The effects of this evolving discourse could set the stage for a new era in U.S. foreign relations, one that prioritizes strategic interests while challenging the traditional norms of diplomatic engagement. In a significant move towards bolstering defense relations in Asia, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has engaged in his first official calls with key allies South Korea and Japan. This initiative underscores the U.S. commitment to enhancing security collaborations amid rising regional tensions, particularly concerning North Korea's military provocations and China's growing influence. During the calls, which took place on January 31, 2025, Secretary Hegseth emphasized the importance of deepening defense ties and fostering a united front among these nations. "Our partnerships are critical to ensuring stability and security in the Indo-Pacific region," Hegseth stated, highlighting the necessity for collective action in the face of shared threats. The calls also set the stage for upcoming trilateral engagements aimed at addressing mutual security concerns. The context of these discussions cannot be overlooked. North Korea's missile tests and its increasingly aggressive posture have alarmed not only South Korea and Japan but also the United States. Both Seoul and Tokyo have expressed concerns about the North's advancements in ballistic missile technology, which poses a direct threat to their national security. Hegseth's conversations signal a proactive approach to counter these threats through enhanced military cooperation and intelligence sharing. Moreover, the recent helicopter and plane crash in Washington, D.C., which resulted in multiple fatalities, has further amplified the urgency surrounding defense readiness. Hegseth addressed this tragedy during his calls, reflecting on the need for robust operational protocols and collaboration among allies. Incidents such as these remind us of the inherent risks our forces face and the necessity of rigorous training and preparedness, he noted, emphasizing that the safety of service members remains a paramount concern. Looking ahead, this renewed focus on defense partnerships suggests that the U.S. will likely pursue more integrated military exercises and strategic dialogues with both South Korea and Japan. Such initiatives could also pave the way for increased arms sales and technological exchanges aimed at modernizing their respective defense capabilities. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, the implications of Hegseth's engagements will be pivotal in shaping a cohesive strategy to address the challenges posed by adversarial nations. Observers will be closely monitoring how these developments impact regional security dynamics and the effectiveness of U.S. diplomatic efforts in the Indo-Pacific. The coming months are expected to reveal further details on collaborative defense projects signaling a potentially transformative era in U.S.-Asia relations. As Robert F. Kennedy Jr. continues his contentious confirmation hearings, the atmosphere surrounding the process resembles a high-stakes game of chance. With each passing day, the tension escalates as senators confront Kennedy's controversial positions, particularly regarding vaccines and public health. The hearings have drawn significant attention not only due to Kennedy's familial legacy but also because of his polarizing views that challenge mainstream scientific consensus. In the second day of hearings held on January 31, 2025, Kennedy faced a barrage of scrutiny from Senate members. One of the most striking moments occurred when Kennedy was presented with scientific data supporting vaccine efficacy, a topic he has frequently questioned. Reports indicate that Kennedy dismissed this evidence, raising concerns among lawmakers about his suitability for the role he is being considered for. This incident highlights a pivotal issue: the gap between established science and the views held by some prominent figures, which can influence public perception and trust in health policies. The hearings have not only spotlighted Kennedy's beliefs but also ignited a broader debate about vaccine misinformation and its implications for public health. Traditionally, vaccines have been seen as a cornerstone of modern medicine, contributing to the control of infectious diseases. However, with rising vaccine hesitancy fueled by figures like Kennedy, public health officials are grappling with the consequences of misinformation in an increasingly polarized society. During the hearings, senators from various parties expressed their concerns about Kennedy's past statements, particularly those that have been labeled as misinformation. For instance, his claims about vaccine safety and efficacy have been met with pushback from both sides of the aisle. Senator Susan Collins remarked, "It's crucial that we have leaders who can rely on scientific evidence, especially in matters of public health." This sentiment echoes a growing urgency among lawmakers to address the challenges posed by misinformation. Kennedy's confirmation remains uncertain, with some observers likening the outcome to a coin toss. As lawmakers deliberate, they must weigh Kennedy's qualifications against the potential risks his views could pose to public trust in health initiatives. The implications of this decision extend beyond just one individual. It speaks to a larger narrative about the role of science in governance and the responsibility of leaders to uphold public health standards. Looking ahead, the outcome of Kennedy's confirmation hearings will likely have lasting effects on public health policy and the discourse surrounding vaccines. As debates continue, the challenge will be to foster a dialogue that respects scientific consensus while addressing the concerns of those who feel disenfranchised by traditional public health messaging. The stakes are high, and the future of public health initiatives may hinge on the decisions made in these hearings. In a pivotal moment for the Biden administration, the Senate Judiciary Committee has advanced Pam Bondi's nomination for Attorney General, moving her candidacy to the full Senate for consideration. Bondi, a former Florida Attorney General and a prominent ally of former President Donald Trump, has garnered significant attention and polarized opinions. Her nomination is set against the backdrop of ongoing political debates surrounding civil rights and law enforcement practices in the United States. The committee's decision, made on January 30, 2025 reflects a broader trend in which nominees aligned with the Trump administration are being positioned for key roles despite widespread opposition. Bondi's past as a vocal supporter of Trump and her controversial stances during her time in office have made her a target for criticism from various civil rights organizations. Hundreds of such groups have publicly opposed her nomination, arguing that her record does not align with the values of justice and equality that the role of Attorney General demands. Pam Bondi's history shows a disregard for civil rights and a commitment to policies that disproportionately affect marginalized communities, stated a representative from the Coalition for Justice. This perspective underscores the concern among activists that her leadership could hinder progress on crucial issues such as police reform and voting rights. Conversely, Bondi has received endorsements from influential groups including police unions, which argue that her experience and dedication to law enforcement will enhance public safety. A representative from the National Association of Police Organizations remarked, "Pam Bondi understands the challenges faced by law enforcement officers and will support their efforts to keep communities safe." This endorsement highlights the complex dynamics at play, as supporters assert that her policies will bolster law enforcement while critics worry about the potential for increased militarization and diminished accountability. As the nomination moves to the full Senate, the potential for a contentious confirmation process looms. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has signaled that he will support Bondi, but the prospect of a divided Senate raises questions about her ultimate confirmation. With a razor-thin majority, every vote will count, and dissent from key Democratic senators could thwart her ascension to the role. The implications of Bondi's confirmation as Attorney General could be profound. Her approach to issues such as immigration enforcement, federal oversight of police departments, and civil rights protections will likely shape not only the Biden administration's agenda but also the landscape of American jurisprudence for years to come. Observers are keenly aware that her past actions could influence the Justice Department's priorities, particularly in an era marked by heightened scrutiny of law enforcement practices. Looking ahead, the Senate's deliberation over Bondi's nomination will serve as a litmus test for the Biden administration's commitment to addressing civil rights issues and reforming law enforcement practices. As the nation grapples with its ongoing struggles for equality and justice, the outcome of this nomination will reverberate through American society, potentially affecting the trajectory of legal and social reforms for the foreseeable future. The coming weeks will be crucial as both supporters and opponents prepare for a heated debate over Bondi's qualifications and the implications of her potential leadership at the Department of Justice. In a pivotal development for U.S. economic policy, Scott Bessent has been confirmed as the new Secretary of the Treasury, a position that places him at the forefront of shaping financial strategy during a critical juncture in American governance. Bessent, who has been a proponent of cryptocurrency and fiscal reform, brings a fresh perspective to an office traditionally viewed through the lens of conservative financial management. His appointment has garnered significant attention, particularly among those in South Carolina who view it as a point of pride for the state. Bessent's confirmation comes at a time when the U.S. economy is grappling with inflationary pressures and calls for fiscal restraint. In his inaugural remarks, Bessent emphasized a commitment to a spending crackdown aimed at reducing the national debt while maintaining economic growth. "We must find a balance that ensures fiscal responsibility without stifling innovation," he stated, outlining his vision for a treasury that supports both traditional and emerging sectors. His approach signals a potential pivot towards a more aggressive stance on government spending, which could have far-reaching implications for various industries including technology and finance. One of the most notable aspects of Bessent's philosophy is his alignment with the pro-crypto movement, which has gained traction in recent years. Advocates argue that cryptocurrencies can play a crucial role in modernizing the financial system and enhancing transparency. Bessent's previous experience in managing investments that include digital assets positions him uniquely to influence policy in this rapidly evolving area. "We're not just looking at the past, we're investing in the future," he remarked during a recent interview.
This forward-thinking approach could lead to more favorable regulations for cryptocurrencies, potentially unlocking new economic opportunities. Additionally,
Bessent's role will be instrumental in extending former President Trump's tax cuts, which have been a subject of intense debate among lawmakers. His ability to navigate the complexities of tax policy while addressing concerns over budget deficits will be closely scrutinized. We need to ensure that our tax policies incentivize growth without compromising our fiscal integrity, he noted, suggesting a balancing act that could define his tenure. The implications of Bessent's appointment extend beyond mere policy changes, they resonate with the broader dynamics of American political life.
Supporters in South Carolina view his elevation as a testament to the state's influence in national affairs, particularly in the realm of economic governance.
His confirmation is expected to invigorate local supporters who believe that having a cabinet member from their state enhances South Carolina's visibility on the national stage.
Looking ahead,
Bessent's leadership will likely be tested by economic challenges, including the ongoing recovery from the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, and geopolitical tensions that could impact trade. Observers will be keen to see how he balances the competing demands of fiscal restraint with the need for economic stimulus. As he embarks on this new chapter, Bessent's actions will not only shape the trajectory of U.S. economic policy but also serve as a bellwether for the future of fiscal governance in an era increasingly defined by rapid technological change. In conclusion, Scott Bessent's confirmation as Treasury Secretary marks a significant moment in U.S. economic policy, one that could usher in a new era of financial innovation and responsibility. As he takes on the challenges ahead,
his commitment to balancing fiscal prudence with progressive economic strategies will be closely watched by both supporters and critics alike. The future of American economic policy hangs in the balance, and all eyes will be on how Bessent navigates the complexities of his new role. In a significant move for the future of U.S. commerce, the Senate Commerce, Science and Transportation Committee is set to vote on the nomination of Howard Lutnick for the position of Secretary of Commerce. The vote comes after a confirmation hearing held on January 30, 2025, where Lutnick, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, outlined his vision and priorities for the department. This nomination is particularly noteworthy as it arrives at a time when the U.S. faces complex challenges, including economic stabilization, technological advancement, and international trade relations. During the hearing, Lutnick emphasized the importance of leveraging technology to enhance economic growth and drive innovation. He stated, "The future of commerce is digital, and we must ensure that our policies reflect the realities of a rapidly changing marketplace." His comments resonate in a landscape where digital transformation has become a critical factor for businesses aiming to thrive in a competitive environment. Lutnick's experience in finance and technology positions him to navigate these challenges effectively. However, Lutnick's nomination is not without controversy.
Critics have raised concerns about his ties to various business interests and whether those connections might influence his decision-making as Secretary of Commerce. Opponents argue that his background in finance may lead to policies that favor large corporations over small businesses, which are vital for American economic health. "We need a Secretary of Commerce who prioritizes the needs of all Americans, not just the corporate elite," asserted Senator Maria Cantwell during the hearing. In a related development, Lutnick has distanced himself from Project 2025, a controversial plan proposed by some of his supporters that seeks to restructure the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA). The plan, which has been criticized for its potential to disrupt vital environmental services, has faced pushback from environmentalists and scientists alike. Lutnick stated, "I believe that we must protect and strengthen our federal agencies, not dismantle them. NOAA plays a critical role in climate science, and I would advocate for its continued support and funding." As the committee prepares for the upcoming vote, the implications of Lutnick's nomination extend beyond the immediate scope of commerce. With the U.S. economy still recovering from recent turmoil, his leadership could play a pivotal role in shaping trade policies, technology regulations, and economic initiatives that impact millions of Americans.
Looking ahead, The outcome of Lutnick's nomination could set the tone for the Biden administration's approach to commerce and technology in the coming years.
Should he be confirmed, stakeholders will be closely watching how he implements his vision and whether he can bridge the gap between corporate interests and public welfare. As the digital economy continues to evolve, Lutnick's decisions may very well influence the trajectory of American commerce in an increasingly interconnected world.